All right. My name is Dustin Taylor. This is Divinity Virtue. This is going to be the weirdest video anyone will ever watch. So, I thought about this and I said, if we changed how the system and people were taught through school. So, I was like, okay, let's see if I can look at this. So, when I look, and these are the numbers that I just came across from Google and whatnot. So, in Alberta, for grade 1 to grade 9, students are instructed a minimum of 950 hours per year in each grade. So, with a calculator and everything, that comes out to 8,550 hours till grade 9. From grade 10 to 12, there's 3,000 hours minimum of instruction hours. So that puts me up at 11,550 hours. So I kind of went through and I said, what is it that we really need as a society to start functioning and being proper and whatnot? So I came up with something, and it comes out to about 15,000 total hours to learn everything up till grade 12. Now, don't get me wrong, I went and I did Google on everything. So, say they taught us how to be a plumber. That takes a minimum of 72 months and 9,360 hours of work experience. So what if in school they taught the first 2 years of plumbing with hands-on experience and like classroom hours, and I put a high-end number at 2,400 hours. So even if that was less, even that was 1,800 hours, that's still a lot of hours to learn how to become a plumber and be fully efficient in plumbing. Now, what about for an electrician? If they taught everyone how to become an electrician, it takes 4 years and a minimum of 1,560 hours on the job training, 8 weeks of classroom instruction for each of the first 3 years, and then a fourth year with more stuff, essentially. So when I did, like I said, and I'm going high end on these hours. So these hours could be really high. And that's just because I've never been in those types of trades. So I don't quite know how long it would take to learn something like that. I'm just going from Google and just going higher than normal. So I said 2,500 hours, which is 3 years classroom and 1 year work. Okay. So I also said, what about for becoming like a drywaller? I said 160 hours, and that's just to like learn how to drywall, tape, plaster, stuff like that. I think it's just more of the hands-on and learning. For roofers, it says 2 to 3 year apprenticeship program or 3 years of work experience in the trade for a trade certification. So I said, well, why don't we show them how to just do the fundamentals, like the gluing down of the tile of the roofing tiles, just stuff like that. I said 160 hours. So I also think when kids go to school, that because this world's changing. Okay, so like I don't know why they're teaching social studies or 100 different sciences or just stuff like that or whatever they're trying to teach. That should all be extra stuff. Like if that's something that you want to learn, you want to learn about World War II, go learn it on the back end of things. Like if that's something that you're interested in. So, but that's the thing is they're not showing people how to be anything in this world. They're just making such archaic decisions. And this is crazy. So I said, for roofers, I said 160 hours. And that's just to learn how to roof, to learn how to use the tools, safety, stuff like that. Okay. I also think that students nowadays should learn one or two types of programming. So I'm not very good at programming. I know how to make a website and that's about it. But other than that, it says a beginner will take 6 to 8 weeks to learn the fundamentals of Python. Okay? So let's say that's 320 hours just to get them into the beginner and the fundamentals. Okay? C++, I said, was another one. Um, A beginner with no programming experience should expect to take at least 3 months to learn the basics. So that's 520 hours. So I also said, okay, I think because this world's going to become very multifaceted, you should learn how to talk in other languages. So I said three different languages. First one I chose was Mandarin because I think the Asian vicinity, there's a lot of people over there, and I think Mandarin is one of the number one most spoken languages in the world. I believe. I don't know if I did not check on that one. And it says it takes approximately 4 to 7 years, roughly 2,200 to 4,000 hours to become fluent in every aspect of the language. So I said, okay, if that's the case, let's put it in at 2,400 hours. You know how we have English? Okay. Well, let's also bring in Mandarin. Then I said, like, how about the Middle East, Arabic? It should take around 2,200 hours to learn it. So I said, okay, that's 2,200 hours. And then I also said English. So English is a very tough language to learn, but just with everyday use, cell phones, stuff like this, it should take you 1,200 hours to become fluent, and then just skills and knowledge of getting up to there. Okay. So now I said, what else do we need in this world? Since everything's becoming digital and everything's online, where I even noticed that when I went back to university and school and stuff like that, they still didn't really teach me stuff about how to run computer systems or audio video or videography or stuff like that. So I said, why don't they have something like that, which can teach students the new way of it's the new world, right? Like we got to learn how to video edit. We're going to have to learn how to do everything online. Brick and mortar is done. It's too expensive to do brick and mortar companies anymore. Everyone wants the pretty little dollar, but with inflation go up, it's just not possible. So I said that was 480 hours. Um, I said everyone needs to learn taxes. Okay, once you hit like 16 or you start working and you make enough money, it says about 2 seasons, and I think a tax season is 3 to 4 months essentially. So I said 1,280 hours, and you would be pretty much a full-on tax professional. You would know how to run everything through taxes. Accountants, you know, when I went back to university, we had I took a few different accounting courses, but I took uh, intro to accounting and then I took managerial accounting. And I'm just saying, with those two courses, you learn probably, don't hold me to this number because I don't know what else. There's auditing, there's tax laws, there's everything else that they have in the accounting. But that should be, if you want to become an accountant, you should know that stuff and focus on that stuff. Because once you get into like any business, whatever you've learned in university, they're going to train you a different way back in the business, and they're going to train you how to use a computer system. So I said, let's go with 1,600 hours. I also believe that because this world needs to learn about health and nutrition, and that should be a fundamental, we should be teaching how to grow food. We should be teaching about just sustainability, stuff like that. From what I read on the internet, 8 weeks, 320 hours. So I'm essentially still down 3,500 hours, and I went higher end than anything. All I'm saying is that if everyone learned all of that, when they came out of grade 12, you're probably, what, 70, 80% proficient in anything. Your next door neighbor, you could say, hey, I don't remember how to do something with plumbing and my pipes just burst. Do you have any idea? It would make it so that everyone who was in your community would have a little bit of knowledge to make it so that everyone could be sustainable. Now, this gets interesting because when I went back to university, and I did it during COVID, so I was smart. I didn't have to pay for it. I used CERB. I also used some other assistances, whatnot. I did not pay for it. And I did my degree. And it's because it was my second degree. I got a lot of courses removed because I had already had a degree before. And I remember I think just in that 2.5, 3 years, everything when it was said and done was $50,000. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, it was probably around $50,000. And I can tell you, if you look on the website, it tells the profs about like how much money they make. And like I said, there's a prof, and he told me that I'm the biggest effing DICK in the world going nowhere in life. And that's really nice of that prof. You know, his name's Lindsay Murray. You know, I have no problem throwing him under the bus. I forgive him because you know what? He's right. Right now, I am going nowhere in life. And I am probably an effing DICK. But I don't think profs should be able to say that to students. We're upheld to higher standards, but I guess they're not. And he makes $250,000 a year. So, okay, now let's think this through. At what point should any professor be making $250,000 a year? Because when we had COVID, which was a very planned financial reset of the world, that didn't really make sense to me because COVID's been around, has been known for about 20 years. And the reason I say this is because I know people who worked in the insurance industry. And every country had money over in China in that lab. So, okay. Yeah, like, I want this video is going to be very interesting, maybe even controversial, because where I'm going next, it's all crazy. I just sometimes like to be crazy and say what I think. I'm just going to go with logic here. When you look at everything, so that would make us all pretty self-reliant. And then you come out, and if you had 2 to 3 years to become a professional, so that means you really harness in on mastering your skills, mastering the trade, whatever it is. Okay? That would mean everyone would be 20, 21 years old, running businesses, possibly making six figures or more, and self-reliant on not just on each other, but on yourself. And if you could be reliant on yourself, you would have somebody who would be close within a door's reach that would have grown up and done the same training as you, where you all could work together and just kind of get through life a lot easier. But, why would you want to do that? You want to segregate people. So now let's go a little bit further on this. When you look at the war, everything on the books, every country has to do a book, right? To see how much money they're going to spend, bring in, essentially, okay? Like we have a finance minister, Chrystia Freeland, I believe her name is. So they run the books, and at the end of the year, there's going to be somebody who's a CPA, CGA, CMA, a chartered something accountant that is a professional in that trade to make sure that whatever the finance person did looks pretty at the end. So one works at the front and one works at the back. Now, with all of this war that's going on, you got to think all of those machines, all those army tanks, everything, have probably gone through its salvage value, which means they have to be taken off the books, written off. You can't sell them, but if you can sell them, you're going to sell them to countries that are already in war and need them, right? So now they're making their money back. So all these machines are old. This is the thing: is war creates money, creates jobs, it bolsters economies, takes down economies. Now, from what I've also read, is that in the Arctic, and I don't know the exact number, but it's in the trillions, just from what they've seen so far for resources, that essentially any country that gets the Arctic will have so much resources because resources brings money. Money brings power. Power brings control. So that's an interesting factor as well. And if you don't believe me on that, you should go see which billionaires opened up a company together and are trying to look for resources up in the Arctic. Follow the money, okay? Because money doesn't lie, numbers don't lie, people lie. Remember that fact. Now, let's go a little bit further because, I might be full of conspiracies, I might be full of weird thoughts, but when I look at things, I try to look at it from multiple points of view. And then I try to make my best guess because I'm not professional in anything that I'm spouting. I'm just kind of going from putting A to B to C to D, putting the steps together and saying, okay, well, if this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. That's all I'm trying to do. Is I just figure that there was a clause after World War II that said no country will give any money to any neo-Nazi organizations. And then, I'm not going to say which president it was, but it looked like when they did their balance sheet, there was about 400 US 400 million US dollars that was getting funneled either through Ukraine or Russia. I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know. But that's a lot of money that way. So that clause also got taken out when the next president got in. I'm just thinking, like, these people play the game really good. It's a very interesting system because, like, just the stuff I'm reading and, like, okay, so China helped out Africa by saying, hey, we'll build stuff for you guys at this price, but if you can't pay it, then we'll renegotiate the contract, stuff like that. China knew that Africa would never be sufficient, knew that they didn't have the technology, knew that their dollar wouldn't go up. China was very smart that way, so they played the game. And now that when you think about it, and I just read something that Russia and Africa are doing BRICS or something. I don't even know what that is. I think it's like they're trying to tie their currencies all in together. I don't really know. Like if you follow the money's going somewhere. I just said, I just want to really see if everything that we're doing is to not really help us get ahead. Because, like I said, right now, even if I'm 3,000 hours over on everything that I just mentioned from grade 1 to grade 12, fine. But at the end of the day, I think I covered most of the most I don't know, like most aspects that you would need in life to be sufficient. And I just think that if we start bringing people up and we teach people the right way, like it'll be a different game. So I don't know. I could be wrong on anything I just said here. Go do your fact checks. I'm just saying I went through Google. That's what Google gave me. I'm going to go with what Google says because I'm not smarter than Google. So that being said, you know, it's a Mercury retrograde. So any of you who follows like astrology and whatnot, expect some weird shit to happen in the next month. Anyone that probably left their life will try to call back in or make their appearance. It's pretty much what you're supposed to do. Is everything that you did wrong last year around this time, you're going to it's going to come back to you. You're going to learn the lesson. So if you see something that had happened to you last year and you're going, whoa, why is this happening again? Just try to do something different. Honestly, just see what happens. Because, well, that's how this life works. And I've also thought about this that when I came back for a family member who got murdered, I believe that was in March and April. And I had just met apparently a soulmate that was told to me, even the conversation and everything. And I think when I screwed that up, that was like when everything restarted again. And it's like I had to relearn all the patterns. I've been in a 10-year cycle. And people are going to say you're crazy. And I'm going to go, I probably am crazy. But at the end of the day, if that's the case, this will be weird because that means something has to happen in one of my families. Either someone's going to get born, possibly die, hopefully not. I don't know. But I don't know. It just means that the cycle should come around. Something's going to happen next year, and I don't know what's going to happen. But I also know that if that's the case, it keeps me here for another year. Because when I came back, I had to go and then come back again, and it kept me here for a year. So I don't know. I don't know how these cycles work. I just see a lot of the same situations over and over, and I'm thinking, done with this. Done with this. But anyways, hopefully this video kind of, I don't know, nobody will even watch it. I just want to say, I don't know, follow the money, open your minds, be honest with yourselves. If you think like, hey, they taught us all this stuff in school instead of going to like, don't get me wrong, drama class was fun. I had fun in drama. A lot of beautiful women. I wasn't a good art actor. I had no art skills whatsoever. So, but that should be like passions that you do outside of school, right? Like that should be stuff that you want to focus on because once you do that, like I was talking to this guy today and he goes, honestly, man, I'm an artist. He goes, I sell a picture. He goes, for 2, 3 hours of my work, I can make $600. I'm going, yo, that side hustle is amazing. I'm like, why don't you go fully for it? And he goes, I'm just not there yet. And I go, I'm thinking, man, like you're making legit money. You're doing something you love. And then I hear people go, but why do I wanna why do I wanna make money off of something I'm passionate about? Because then what happens if I lose my passion in that? And I'm thinking, are you going to be passionate about something for 100 years of your life? Probably not. So why don't you have your passion, make your money, and then once you're like, hey, you know what? I don't want to be a pianist anymore. I want to be an electrician, or I want to be a rodeo clown. I don't know what anyone's dreams are, but then why wouldn't you just go, hey, that was a good path. I had a great 10 years of my life. What's the next path? Learn it, master it, make money off it. Isn't that life? Like you're just supposed to grow and become like spiritual and just be blessed about like everything that's happening, what you learn. And it's all about the roller coaster. It's not about like emotions because emotions aren't real. You may feel them and you may want to express them. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big baby. Sometimes I cry just because I cry. But at the end of the day, I've also been like watching a lot of like Zen videos and just how to control your mind and control your thoughts. And there's this one thing that they say, let's see how good you are at controlling your mind. Because if you can control your mind, you can control situations a lot better. You'll just handle yourself a lot more comfortable. And one of the things they say is when you're looking at a TV, put something behind it and focus behind it and see if you can focus on that one thing for 3 minutes. If you can do that for 3 minutes, you have almost perfect control of your mind. Because at the end of the day, if something happens to you, in that 3 minutes, you have already controlled your mind saying, hey, I don't need to look at that TV. I can control this. So whatever's happening to you, or if you got fired, or if you got injured, you know, if you just breathe, just said, okay, I gotta control my mind. I gotta think things calmly. I don't know where I'm going with this. I probably need to practice this a little bit more. I'm gonna tell you, I did it at the gym, and yesterday was the day that I just do a consistent level 16, 2 hours, just as many calories and as fast as I can go until I'm done. And I said, okay, instead of looking at the TVs, because with me, I have to bounce my eyes everywhere just to keep myself entertained, to keep my mind going. And I looked at the wall and I did it the whole entire time. Well, not the whole entire time, but multiple times. I did over 3 minutes, got to over 4 minutes. One time I got to 5 minutes looking at the wall and I was thinking, that is crazy. But it's just the fact that you're retraining your mind to go, I'm not hurt. I'm focusing on what I need to focus on and nothing else matters. That's all it's trying to do is you're just trying to eliminate the outside noise and focus on what's in front of you. Make sure you do the best at it. That being said, God bless you all. Take your losses before you become the boss. I don't know where this is going, but I literally am done the entire project. I have to do an answer sheet and maybe 8 slides of just to make my final consultant page look beautiful. And that should honestly take me an hour tops. So this will be interesting. And then I got to save up about $2,500. Because, like I said, don't be paying taxes to anyone, people. You work hard for your money. You should be spending your money the way you want so that you don't have to go to jail for tax fraud, tax evasion, because you already put your time in, but that's the penalty. You put your time in, you don't pay your taxes, you go to jail. Seems convenient. It's just another way of control. Um, you know what? Try to be 1% better every day. Let's try to help everyone out. Let's just be the best versions that we can be. Divinity Virtue. You know what? 16 days till the end of this year. I've already got my New Year's resolution. I pretty much just want 4 really positive things to happen to me next year. I've only had 3 things that were nice to me this year, so that's kind of sad and disappointing, but that's life. You know what? There's got to be a silver lining, right? So thank you for everything, and God bless. Amen.